My job as a financial planner would be much easier if I knew exactly how long each of my clients was living. That's one of the key questions and variables that goes into a retirement plan. Now, the theme that we see over and over again doing hundreds of retirement plans for Canadians every year is people think they're going to live a lot shorter than they probably will, which can lead to one of the biggest fears many retirees have: running out of money. So in this video, I want to walk through how we plan for longevity risk and share a few strategies you can use to protect yourself if you live into your late 80s or 90s, while still making the most of your early retirement years. I want to quickly jump into our software here and just show a scenario of a 60-year-old person looking to retire now, and their life expectancy they've pegged at age 82. And I want to show you what this plan would look like. It's a single individual person, and what would happen to their plan if they lived to 82, but what happens if they keep living? Like, we don't know how long we'll live. So if they live beyond 82, and how they could have made better decisions, not just to protect them now and help them enjoy retirement now, but for that longevity risk. And again, I get it. You may not feel good that morning when you woke up, so it's like, yeah, you know what? Some family members died early. I don't feel good. I'm probably gonna die in my 70s or early 80s. But the statistics show that again and again, your 60 to 65-year-old person here in Canada, middle class, will live well into their late 80s. And in fact, if you're married or common law, the chances one of you live into your 90s is greater than 50%. So when we look at the pure data of will you live into your late 80s, possibly even into your 90s, the data shows that you probably will. So why aren't a lot of you planning for it? So here we have John YouTube, born January 1st, 1965, so 60 years old. And again, we have him retiring now at age 60 and projected age to age 82. We have a 2.5% inflation. Now, as far as assets go, John's been able to build up about $500,000, and that tied into his decision to retire. $400,000 in an RSP and $100,000 in a TFSA account. Now, when we look at his government benefits, he's sitting at 80% of the max if he had taken it at age 65. Now, John's decided to take it at age 60. Now, the reason he's wanting to take it earlier is A, he's retiring earlier, but he also says, look, my life expectancy is only 82. I don't feel good. I don't think I'm going to live that long, and thus pushed his CPP to age 60. So we have his CPP starting at age 60. He will be getting a reduced amount because he started at 5 years earlier, and his old age security starting at 65, which is the earliest he's able to start that. So when we run this data into the financial planning software, we can see that the after-tax income from age 60 all the way down to age 82 is $40,341 per year. So that's a flatline income, increasing with inflation, but essentially $40,000 in today's dollars. Now, a few things I've done to help him out a little bit, and I didn't want to do too much planning in here because that's not the purpose of this video, but you can see it under his RSP or his RIF. I've ramped it up, so he's taking about $24,000 a year all the way till age 72 when his TFSA runs out. I just wanted to complement. If I don't override it, which a lot of you aren't doing, you'll end up taking too much TFSA and you lose that flexibility in retirement. It also gave him a little bit more income. So that's the one thing I did do. But other than that, like, he's sitting at about 40,000 based on early CPP, again, old age secured at 65, drawing down his accounts and getting to the end of life with zero. So he's basically got nothing left at age 82. Now, the obvious concern here as a financial planner and just any common sense is, well, what happens if I live to 83, 85, to 90? How much money would I have? So I've lived out this retirement plan and whoops, I didn't die at 82. I continue to live. How much money am I going to have? So if we take a quick look at that, again, nothing else has changed here, the $24,000, $40,341. But as I scroll down, I've changed his life expectancy from 82 all the way to age 90. Again, I haven't gone past 90. I want to be conservative here. Again, life expectancy for John as a 60-year-old middle-class healthy individual here in Canada is about 87. Again, he could live longer, and that's the risk we're talking about here. But you can see from age 83 on, he'd only have about $18,000 of income in today's dollars. So again, that's a little bit concerning. I don't know if many of you can live on that amount of money. Now, if John owned real estate or something like that, yes, he could downsize, sell it, live off of that. There's that opportunity there, but he still has to live somewhere. And a lot of people aren't wanting to downsize or change their home in their early to mid 80s. It's not a time of life that a lot of people are looking. Maybe they go to a care home if he qualifies, all that stuff. So there's some variables here. But if John just is healthy and wants to keep living life, he's only got about $18,000 a year. So the question is, how could John kind of revamp things from day one to be in a better position, even if he does think he's going to pass away earlier? So let's look at the same scenario again. RSP 400,000, TFSA 100. The one thing of change is CPP starting at age 70. So what happens if John had started his CPP a little bit later, even though he plans to pass away a little bit earlier? You can see here under government benefits, again, Canadian Pension Plan CPP starting at 70, old age security is still left at 65. If we scroll over, I know there's a lot of numbers here. Don't focus on everything. We'll highlight it here for you. But the RRSP, or his RIF account, we're drawing that down a little bit more aggressively. Instead of 24,000, we're doing 30. And then again, at 65, there's more tax credit. So we're going to pull out even more at 42,000. You can see his average tax rate stays very level. And then what's going to happen is, because we bumped his CPP, we're getting more from CPP. You can also see his TFSA stays intact for much longer. It's a much healthier position to be in. You can see if we scroll down, at age 82, we've still depleted his RSP. So the tax planning is still there, but there's some TFSA left to live off of. And you can see the income from age 60 all the way down to age 90 is $39,700. That is after tax adjusted to inflation. So about a $500 to $600 difference in income, but he's been able to draw that income all the way to age 90. He's not shooting himself in the foot essentially if he doesn't die early. And so as you work through your retirement plan with your financial planner, I want you to consider life expectancy. You may feel that day like things aren't going well, life expectancy is short. Unless you have a diagnosed illness that is telling you you're going to die early, make sure your retirement plan is stress tested in a way like this. Like, sure, have your main plan built out to a lower age that you think and feel like you're going to die, but have it stress tested a little bit longer and make sure you have a proper strategy. Again, John YouTube here, he would be in a very tough position if he went on with his plan, CPP earlier, kind of drew out the account, he'd be left with $18,000. Like, that's not enough to live off of here in Canada. And I'm sure John can make it work. The CPP OAS coming in, I'm sure he could make it work, but it's not an ideal situation. $1,500 a month, that's pretty tough to live on, especially if he lives in BC, Ontario, again, owns a house. Property taxes are $5,000 to $10,000 a year. So it'd be a very challenging lifestyle later in life. So planning for longevity means taking a look at CPP. Again, a lot of you are looking at Canadian Pension Plan as a silo, meaning that you run a break-even analysis only on your Canadian Pension Plan. And we did a video on this, on how everything needs to integrate together. We'll link that above. Check that out, because your CPP, your Canadian Pension Plan, is one of many income sources that you have. And how you make all these income sources work together changes when the break-even point is. In fact, we've run many scenarios where the break-even point is in your early 70s or even late 60s, like before you start CPP, which seems like it can't make sense, but it does when you run the numbers. And this is where you gotta put numbers and data behind your plan. It can't be fully emotional. Because again, John here, making that emotional decision around his retirement would have left him in a very tough position even if he lived to life expectancy age 87. He would have had 5 years in retirement, living on $1,500 per month, which would have been very challenging for him. And again, if we knew exactly when you were going to die, it's like that movie, right? Where you have the time, how much time you have left in life. That would make it so easy. But we don't have that. Err on the side of caution when it comes to longevity. You don't have to plan out to 105, 110. The reality is, in Canada, every year for the last decade, life expectancy has increased by almost 1% per year. Meaning that life expectancy, if it's age 87 today, it's going to be almost 88 next year, and then almost 89. And it's going to keep increasing over time. Meaning that even though you're a 65-year-old right now with life expectancy to age 87, with changes in health, longevity is going to keep increasing. Thus, you could be living into your 90s or even 100s. I have a client that's 100 years old right now. It happens. And again, do you spend a lot of money later in life? No, but you want to plan for it. And if you need the care, you want to make sure you can afford the care, whether that's selling your home or planning properly to make sure you have the cash flow you need. So as you plan out your retirement, really consider planning into your 90-95. Our typical plan, we map out to age 95. So the way we frame it is, do your tax planning to life expectancy, 85, 86, 87, somewhere in that, a little bit before life expectancy. So if you die when you're supposed to, you've tax planned for that. You don't have a big bill going to CRA because you passed away. But income plan till 95 or somewhere around there. So if you die when you're supposed to, perfect. You've done tax planning around that. You don't have that big tax bill to pay. But if you keep living, you've also planned for that. And you have good cash flow coming in to pay for the things and do the things you want to do. That's how we build a plan, and I highly recommend you to take a look at the same way. Again, tax plan to life expectancy, income plan much later than that, 90, 95, even maybe 100. So I hope this helps out and really kind of wakes people up to life expectancy. Many of you are doing plans till 75, 80, 82, 85 we see often. We get a lot of clients asking for late 70s, early 80s with no reason behind it, no illness behind it. Again, make sure you're planning long enough because the reality is you're probably going to live there. We'll see you in the next video.